The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 18th day of March, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Linda's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carla Zul. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share the link. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. If you're watching on Channel 82 or listening on the Full 100 radio station, call someone up and let them know we're on. You know, just get the conversation out there to your network, and don't forget to like and engage with us. Another good one today as Dr. Amani Flood stops by, and she has one of the most inspirational stories you'll hear on this show. The Daily Play is a name that plays. So Carla is going to get today's question right, because it is the easiest question we have ever asked in the Daily Play. And Carla, you ain't gonna let me down. I'm not even setting you up. You're not gonna let me down.
You're not so silly. And then watch me get it wrong, but it's all right. Stay tuned and you will see me smash it either way.
You know how I know you're gonna get it right? Because I said, you know what? I'm gonna ask the question we've asked before, just to see if she's on her toes.
That's the worst. Now you're gonna have my brain ticking, trying to think what you ask. So if I'm not focused, it's Jamal's fault.
I think you got this. think you got this. But look, we have a lot to get through. Like I said, folks, you're going to enjoy the conversation with Dr. Flood. I really believe so, because there's been a theme on this show, if not from the beginning, at least over the last few months, where we've concentrated, we focused on wellness. So you definitely don't want to miss this. But today is what's the date? March 18th, right? March 18th. And it's a year since the government of Bermuda announced the first 2 cases of the pandemic. And just want to discuss with the audience, we're going to talk about, obviously, the United Negro Fund also announcing its first Black chair in its 77-year history. We're going to discuss that. So trust me, we'll get to it. I know you're probably waiting on my opinion on that, but we'll discuss it. But I just think it's too important a conversation to ignore that today marks 1 year since Bermuda announced its first 2 cases. And just want to hear from the audience. In this last year, you know, it's been filled with tragedy for families. It's been filled with confusion. It's been heartache, you know, stress, exhaustion. And it's been, you know, really bad for some people as individuals. As a country, economically, it's been bad. But then others have found success through the pandemic, and they found ways to come out on top. Some people have lost jobs, some people have earned jobs or created jobs, right? But when you look back at March 18th last year as Bermudians, and you look, you know, what's happened over the last 12 months, what is your life like? Do you feel like you're better off? Have you made any changes due to the pandemic? You know, what has this whole experience taught you or taught us? You know, I mean, Carla has welcomed me into her life on a daily basis morning, so I know her life got better, folks. Go ahead.
Of course. It's funny because just yesterday, my youngest said to me, it was about a year, Mommy, when the pandemic came. And I remember the Monday, because it was for us March in the UK, March 16th. And the 17th, because on the Monday I was doing my first day of my internship for my master's degree. And all the news was coming in, and I was at the place, and all the news was coming in to say that places were shutting down. Mm-hmm. And Manchester, it was in London at the time, and Manchester didn't have that many. And then, so they were like, okay, tomorrow everything's business as usual. And 7 o'clock the Tuesday morning, they called and said, no, we're all in shutdown. Now, I live by a major road. So what freaked me out was that it was like a ghost town. Like there were no cars on the road. The air smelled different because you realize the air pollution masked everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just was like, you almost felt, for us, we felt like hostage in our homes. You couldn't go anywhere besides to the grocery store at one point. But fast forward, daily hour with us, opportunity for me to really spend some good quality time with my children. That took us on another level of bonding. But then it was a lot of grief as well, seeing people die. And the one thing that gave me anxiety is being in the UK with all of my family in Bermuda. I was like, oh my God, what happens if? So I did go through that. But at the end of it all, it's been a really good year. So blessings.
Good to hear. I mean, again, without obviously with acknowledgement of the tragedy that has happened, it's a story of how some people have used it to see the positives in it. Like you said, you know, it was a time to bond with your children. I'd like to hear from the audience. You know, a year on, today marks 1 year since the government of Bermuda announced its first 2 cases of the coronavirus, and a year on, I mean, it's been up and down. I want to say this because I think it has to be said, and we can't ignore this. Obviously, over the last 12 months, there are people who do not like what governments have done in terms of the restrictions and so on. And I always say I don't dismiss those people, because I think we have to understand why people feel that way, right up to the vaccine, especially Black people. We have to understand, you know, people see it for this because of this reason. And when the coronavirus was first reported, there were a lot of inconsistencies. We've had medical people, nurses on this show to even be honest and say, well, we did not know what it was. We did not know how to respond to it. Those kind of things. At first, they said people should wear masks. Then they changed it to people, a mask won't make a difference. And then they want you to wear a mask again. So it was very confusing. It's been tough. You know, it's been tough. Even for those who may have come out and looked, you know, better, like whether it's jobs or health, it's been a tough period. And I don't think that should be lost or forgotten on this. And regardless of people, how they feel, whether they have, you know, been supportive of government shutdowns or whether they haven't and think it's all a conspiracy, I just think that more education on these kinds of things needs to take place. And I think that we're getting to a place, some people may disagree, but more information should be made available so that people can make more educated decisions rather than just watching the news and taking what the news is giving us.
That's actually one of the things that's been amazing to me, is seeing how no matter what side people sit on, the arguments, the loss of friendships as well, and people being convinced that what they have to say is the only way, no matter what side. That's actually blown my mind. I have one gentleman out here, he lost his mother-in-law to COVID, and a lot of his friends on Facebook, he was saying that it doesn't exist, and he had to delete them because he was like, I was tired of the rhetoric when I've suffered. So it's caused friction as well with everyone wanting to be right, as opposed to we see it different. Let's just respect that and try to, you know, respect each other's space.
Indeed. Kathy Brumby says, taught me to boost my immunity. And that's a positive that's come out of it. I've seen a lot of people change certain things in their diets or exercise more. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. I mean, before last March, you couldn't pay me to run outdoors. I was a treadmill guy. Right now, you couldn't pay me to run on a treadmill. It's almost like I need to be taught how to do it again. But that's something, you know, enjoying the fresh air outdoors and you know, taking my vitamin D daily. So certain changes. Kathy Brumby goes on to say CDC flip-flops on their narrative. And I think that's concerning. That's where a lot of people think like, hey, this inconsistent information gives me every reason to question stuff. Michelle White-Carl.
Resilience. I left a full-time job to own my own business. Then bam, everything I planned to do could not happen, but I am making it. Exercising flexibility, and positive. So sad about those who have lost loved ones, but like you said, others have been able to look within and discover talents that they didn't know they had. Kudos to those who have adapted. More difficult times lie ahead, though, if the world's COVID-19, sorry. More difficult times lay ahead, though, if the world's COVID-19's cases continue.
Indeed. And James Birch says, good morning. Has been a tough and tragic year, but I have found a healthier lifestyle in part thanks to the coaching from TDH. Well, thank you, James.
Can I add on to that real quick? I was unhealthy and I am a bit unhealthy, but I have to say our guests that we've had, from Tammy to Courtney and everyone, it's really made me reflect on my lifestyle choices. So having these guests, you know, to some, like they're guests, but they really have resonated with me. And I've made some eating changes. I'm still working on the exercise. Like yesterday, I did 300 steps.
I'm going to exercise you now and rush you through that conversation because we have to get to the United Negro College Fund. So look, so the United Negro College Fund elected its first ever African-American chair of the board in its nearly 77-year history. And some people's antennas went up about that yesterday. And people were just, you know, some people were shocked, some people weren't. I have so many different opinions on this, and I'm not quite sure all of them. Well, you know what? They will be shared on the Daily Hour because this is what we do.
Wow. For me, okay. I felt like another example of the Great White Hope. And I say that respectfully, right? I don't mean to offend anyone, but it's like, they're always, it did explain in layers that the leadership team and other layers were all Black or majority Black, right? But I also felt some way like, why is it that in 76 years, because this is the 77th year, were there all white men at the helm? But I also feel that that was probably the only way to further the cause as far as raising those funds. And I think that in itself is sad.
Well, I think it goes to something, Carla, and you and I have had private conversations about this, and we're going to make it public right now. But there are times where Black people who have small businesses, right, feel like they should get a white face to front it.
I've done that. I've attempted to do that.
And so, I'm stick with me to where I'm coming from with this, folks. We have to understand the rules of these types of boards and organizations. I mean, mind you, the name wouldn't help without it. But what they do is you put people in place that you think the face is going to attract something. It's sad that this is how things have traditionally worked. But when you think of it like that, it's like, okay, I got it. They needed the face, someone with those relationships with these big corporations. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm trying to make sense of it, right? Trying to make sense of it. No, I've had some side conversations with people about this. And we're talking about the United Negro College Fund, who appointed its first Black chair, folks. And it really, someone says to me, well, it's no more than a few people said it's like putting a Black face there, like not a Black person, but the Black face. And we've seen it in Bermuda. We've seen it in Bermuda. And when I say we've seen it in Bermuda, you know, I always think about, you know, I graduated Cedar Bridge, went to Northlands. I had one of the, you know, blackest experiences in Bermuda growing up, from neighborhood to extracurricular activities and to the schools I attended, right? And I would love to see people who reflect my Black Bermuda in places. But when they do appoint these, you know, let's talk about our good friends. There's two words: diversity and inclusion. I look forward to having the diversity and inclusion expert on in a few weeks, right? I do. But what is the point of diversity and inclusion if you're just appointing the Black face and not the Black conscience?
I agree with you. But I also feel that sometimes it's what you have to do. And one of my businesses I started, I actively looked for a white face because I felt that it would go further, you know? And I do recall you and I having a conversation where you were like, why? But I felt I had to. But like I said, on the end user side, look how many young people have benefited because some, like Rockefeller was a former director, for example. These people have friends who will bring money. So it's almost catch-22. But overall, I think it's a bit sad. And then I think it's even sadder that many people didn't even realize that there had never been a Black director before.
Well,
people just assumed.
Well, and again, I mean, and some people may be thinking, you know, Black person run it. I mean, the board, that's the board, but there have been Black presidents. I just want to put that there because there are tiers to this.
Right.
And there's been Black influence in there, but I still, I get and I understand why people are a bit confused that the United Negro College Fund has not had a Black chair. Nikki Michelle says, the white savior role is played out. There have been enough years now where they should have had been able to stand on their own and accept everything that comes from that, good and bad. Normalizing that is the only way to make that the new standard. I completely agree with you. Look, I mean, we're family on this show, and just to be honest, I don't believe that I need to tone down my Blackness. I don't believe that I need to cater particularly to white people. I don't believe that we need to have white faces to be successful. We have to, you know, the narrative has to change somewhere. You know, if we go to white people to partner to do this show and they say no, then I would hope that they say no because it doesn't align with their values, not because we're Black or they come, like, you know what I'm saying? I think if we are still in a place where we have to do these things, then how is the community benefiting? How is it in the best interest of the company or the conversation? You know, Kathy Brumby makes a good point, makes you wonder the purpose 7 years ago, right? Mark Arthur Phillips, Carla.
Just the thought of Carla having to get a white face to fund her business says a lot. I've made it my goal to support Black business as much as possible. That's how I felt a few years ago. I don't feel that way now, but yeah.
Tamara Richardson says, maybe it's time we accept for us doesn't mean by us. Too often we believe Black marketed products are Black owned. I guess charity is no different. No, don't get me started, because over the years, was it, I don't want to say a brand because I don't want to get it wrong. Hair products.
Yes, it's a big list.
Yeah, they have thought Black people have been purchasing and thinking these were Black owned for years. And then you find out, oh, hold on, this isn't Black owned. I believe someone in Bermuda was looking up like Black Lives Matter, seeing who had it trademarked and so on. Like, where does the money trail lead? Look, it's no different for charity. I think, you know, I'll never forget, and this is a story we have to share before we go to the news break. Someone asking me last year who owns the company that I share with my partners. And I said, we do, a Black man and 2 Black women. Yeah, but who owns it? And this comes from a Black person. Now, here's the challenge. There's no one that owns the company outside of us. There's no one that has been directing us outside of us. Like, so it confused me as to where this person was going. But I understand it, because media companies, the narrative is really controlled by a lot of people that you don't see. So I get it. But that's not how this is going to work. And that's not how this does work. The narrative has to change at some point. And as long as I'm breathing, I'm going to make sure that, you know, I do my part so that we can do that. So me shocked about this? Nah. I guess I'm shocked that so many people are shocked. But when these Black faces get there, we have to make sure that they're held accountable. We have to make sure that they're held accountable. Let's go through a couple more comments before we go to the news break. Kathy Rogers says it was stressful for our family. I was working long hours, frontline with the unknown of the COVID-19, while my family was shelter in place, worried about me working frontline. And that was in reference to our conversation about Bermuda's 1 year since the pandemic. We're going to take a quick news break, come back to commercials, and we have a very special guest that you do not want to miss. Very inspiring conversation with Dr. Amani Flood. Carla, over to you.
A bus operator was assaulted by a passenger recently while on duty in St. David's. He was treated for his injuries at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital and is recovering at this time. The Department of Public Transport is actively working with the Bermuda Police Service in this ongoing investigation, and a suspect is in custody. Minister of Transport Lawrence Scott stated, "This act of violence against one of our bus drivers is unacceptable." The men and women of the Department of Public Transport work tirelessly day in and day out to ensure that our passengers are safe and arrive at their destinations on time. Violence has no place in our community, and especially on public transportation. I want to wish a swift recovery to Mr. Ramantar and thank those who were on hand to assist him. The Department of Public Transport takes matters of employee and passenger safety very seriously. Offensive behavior is a violation of the Omnibus Conduct Regulations 2012. Awkward moments happen all the time, and to some folks more than others. For anyone who's ever wished the ground would open up and swallow them, Awkward Moments Day is a celebration of all things awkward. From walking out of a public bathroom with toilet paper on your shoe to realizing you've been speaking to someone every day for a year and don't know their name, life is full of these moments. So if anything awkward happens on Awkward Moments Day, be sure to see the humor of the situation and have a good laugh about it before moving on to the next one. Turning to weather, the temperature in Bermuda is expected to reach a high of 70 today. Austin, Texas will see a high of 71, and Leeds, UK, a high of 54. That's your Daily Hour news break.
Happy Awkward Day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. It's okay to be Carla today, folks. Hey, look, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Dr. Amani Flood after this.
Good day. Medical House, Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare.
Medical House is a great resource for Leroy. The service is excellent.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It has hundreds of styles of scrubs and nurses' uniforms for health professionals. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products. These same professional quality products are available to you for home health care.
The biggest reason to come see us is that we specialize in these areas and the education and knowledge that we provide.
Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
The Friends of Hospice, in support of Agape House, Bermuda's unique hospice dedicated to the compassionate care of those in our community affected by life-threatening illnesses, is holding a fish fry on Friday the 26th of March between 4 and 7 p.m. In keeping with the required public health procedures of the times, the fish fry will be a drive-through affair. You can collect your fish dinners from the Wesley Methodist Church kitchen on Church Street. Go to friendsofhospice.bm to place your orders. For more info, call 232-0859. Lynn knows. Why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Carla Azul. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can also watch this and many other locally produced shows if you have One Communications cable. Big shout out to everyone who actually listens on the full100radio.com. I always, I don't give you enough love. So everyone who cannot watch while at work, thank you for listening and making sure that we're able to be in your ears, if not in your face. What are you smiling at, Carla?
Because you're so naughty cracking that joke just before the commercial break. Just slid it in.
Oh, it happens. I mean, sometimes it just slides off the tongue. I can't even control it. But we have a very important guest we got to bring in. I don't even remember what the joke was, to be honest with you. Let's bring in Dr. Flood. Good morning, Dr. Flood. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thanks. How are you too? Jolly people this early hour of the morning.
Well, we're awake. Well, I usually thank people after the conversation, but I always try to do it before to get them in a kind of a good mood with Carla for making them wake up so early. So thank you so much for doing this. and
You're welcome.
Yeah, so Carla has to take the blame, and that's where I shift things.
Somebody's got to take the blame.
Yeah,
I'm gonna blame you both.
Dr. Flood, let's have a conversation. I mean, you're a doctor of naturopathic. Did I pronounce that right?
You said it better the first time you said it to me, but that's good.
Awkward moment.
No, you see, there you go. Right, I'm just fitting in with the date. Naturopathic. Naturopathic.
It's a lot of syllables in there.
Yeah. Five. See, let me get this. Okay, you're a doctor of naturopathic medicine.
Beautiful. See there? Right. Just slow down. Take your time.
All right. Naturopathic medicine. But for those who don't know, what is naturopathic medicine?
You know, it's so popular now that it's hard to think that some people still don't know, but some people still don't know. And naturopathic medicine is a science of medicine. However, it's really original medicine. Naturopathic medicine was our first medicine. It's just using the things in nature to heal us. That could be our diet, our lifestyle, as well as the nutritional products that we get from our food. Vitamins and minerals, and really just understanding how the body works, what the body needs to stay healthy, and adding those things, and then also understanding what makes us ill and trying to remove those things from our diet and our lifestyle. That's what naturopathic medicine is. I could go a little bit deeper into what it is in terms of a career or a profession.
Got you. No, I think that pretty much gives an idea of, it's pretty much the direction we're going to take the convo as well. So thank you for that. And like she said, though, folks, last summer, I mean, I must have read so much about it because I was trying to learn more about you. So that's where I pretty much got the information.
I'm flattered.
Well, we try to know who we're talking to, right? But
I learned a lot about you last night too.
Oh boy!
Wait, you meaning him, right? Because he's the bad.
You meaning he? Yes, Jamal.
Oh,
and it was very impressive. Congratulations on all that you've accomplished, actually.
Oh, thank you. I was about to say it's another Jamal Hartman, but thank you. Thank you for that.
That's your demons.
Yeah, it is. I know who I am.
Skeletons, huh, Carla, in the closet.
Dr.
Well, somebody had kicked open the closet door.
I was so hoping.
Yeah.
I unlocked it for him. They just didn't stick it open.
All right.
But
I opened the wrong door. I opened the good door. Enter here.
Dr. Flood, over 30 years ago, you were diagnosed with cancer and the prognosis was not good. You chose to treat your condition naturally. What led you to do so? And have you recommended the same successfully to others?
Okay, good question. So first of all, thank you, honestly, sincerely, for having me on, because I really do love to share this story, because I was inspired when I was ill. I was inspired by the stories of healing, of other people's healing. And so I try to also share my stories so that other people can be inspired. But yes, about 30 years ago, I was diagnosed with a condition called non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It is a very dangerous form of blood cancer that can be difficult to treat. And at the time that I was diagnosed, I was not a naturopathic doctor, but I had been studying natural health and medicine and botanical or herbal medicine for a long time. And it was my lifestyle. I was partly vegan, vegetarian. I was very active, and, I considered myself very healthy. But one thing about cancers is that they can really begin very early in your life and grow silently throughout a long period of time. And so maybe this was the case for me. In any case, I was faced with a decision of how I was going to help myself. I was taken ill very suddenly. I did have a lot of emotional things going on. I was going through a divorce at the time, and sometimes chronic illnesses can strike us or be exacerbated when we are going through a very emotionally tumultuous time in our lives, and our body is on, is distracted from its own care. But in any case, I had a decision to make. I had some very good care here in Bermuda. I'm American. I'm a Yankee, in case no one knows. Mm-hmm. But I was receiving very good care at King Edward Hospital. And I was actually being helped by Dr. Ewart Brown at the time. So I always want to remember him and give him thanks for that. But in any case, I had my diagnosis confirmed here in Bermuda through biopsies, through blood tests, because at first it was difficult to know what was wrong with me. Came on so suddenly, and the signs and symptoms that I had, night sweats and extreme fatigue, loss of appetite, weight loss, they sort of mimicked the flu. And at first, my caregivers thought that I had a very severe case of the flu, but I knew that I was really sick, like I could feel it, you know. It's like, no, this is not the flu. So I had my diagnosis confirmed both here in Bermuda, and some of my samples were sent abroad to the hospital in London, and they all came back positive. And I'll never forget the day that I sat on my hospital bed and looked outside my window onto a beautiful, clear Bermuda day. And poor Dr. Brown had to walk in and tell me that I had cancer. So it was hard. And you know, cancer is like the scariest disease. You know, it's like the worst 5 letters of the alphabet strung together. So you just immediately start to think, well, I've entered the end of my life. This is it, you know. But I gathered my thoughts together, and I managed to put myself back on an even keel. And I was presented with my treatment options, and I kind of made a decision in that moment that I was going to lean on what I believed in and try naturopathic medicine.
I want to just follow up with that, because there's so many people in Bermuda that I know personally who have been diagnosed with some form of cancer, and you know, they've responded to it very differently. I was reading an article about you, and it basically said, I think it was from 2015, that, and just correct me as I ask the question if I'm saying it wrong, but you were saying that you're not trying to get people to seek what you believe as an alternate, rather as a, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. And I thank you for bringing that to the forefront, because, you know, cancer, all illnesses are a personal journey. And as medical providers, they are there, or we are there to offer our best solution to what we believe is our best solution to your problem. And there are many ways to approach most illnesses, and when it comes to cancer, it's a little bit different, because the general thinking is that we'd better go in there with what science, conventional science, says is going to work, and for some people that is honestly their best option. So you're right. I try not to, while I am an advocate for naturopathic medicine and natural health and healing, that is my chosen profession, and that is my personal belief system. But I use medicine for various things when they're called upon. So I'm not opposed to medicine. Okay. And I don't push people in one direction or the other. Rather, I see myself as a conduit of information, a support system. And if people have made a choice, a very firm decision to go the alternative medicine or approach, then I will help them. I'll help them to the best of my abilities, and together we will find a course of action that works best for them. But it's really important, folks, when you're out there and you have a loved one or a friend who receives a diagnosis of cancer, really, or anything else, it's so important to let them have the space and have the support from you for their own decision. It has to be their decision, because they're the only person who has to live with it. So a lot of times people feel like they have a point to prove. I don't have a point to prove. You know, I really, really don't. And people should stand back for a minute and stand back from their own personal beliefs and let this person make the choice that they think is best for them, and just be supportive. And I truly hope that that is what I do and what I have done when I've had patients before me who have had a diagnosis of cancer.
I think everything you just said, I can't emphasize, like, I look forward to sharing that more over and over and over, because it's important. You know, I saw something that was probably, I would say, is the most disrespectful thing on social media that you could say to a person. And what I mean, and I think I shared this with Carla when it happened, a gentleman was sharing on social media that his mom finished her final round of chemo, and a young lady wrote on this post, and Bermuda's very small, so everyone knew, oh, that stuff's da 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 da. Should have taken a natural approach, whatnot. And I think what you just said, I really hope that resonates with people. Like it should be the person who has to live with it, their decision. You're there to support them, right?
Exactly.
But not make those decisions. And also that you clarify, you know, you're not here to tell people, hey, do this because this is what I did and it works. That's important to clarify, because we definitely live in a time where of the information age, but sometimes information is used to bully others and shame others. And I think we can't do that. You know, I always
we shouldn't do that.
You know, I've been successful in doing what works for me. That doesn't mean it will work for others. And I think that, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And another thing that happens is that one aspect of my story that I really do need to share and like to share is that it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy. It was scary. You know, I had my doubts. I was shooting in the dark to a great extent, because I did not have, and I remember when I made the decision to go to naturopathic medical school, I was partly motivated by the fact that I didn't have a professional person in my life who could really guide me in this direction. And luckily, that's no longer the case. You know, like you said, this was 30 years ago. Now, people really do have a plethora of options that include healthcare providers and scientists and naturopaths who have a lot of training, and we've grown in our knowledge of how to manage cancer from both angles, both naturopathic and conventional. And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, this is really hard. And you know, one thing about it that does make me sad is that people, life goes on. Like we get this diagnosis of a potentially life-threatening event that's occurring in our life, and we still have to plod our way to work every day. Still have to take care of the kids, you know, manage all the responsibilities that we have. I was blessed, and I thank God I was in a position. I was well supported by my job. I worked for a wonderful gentleman, Orlando Smith. I love him unto life. I worked for a law firm that supported me. They paid me even when I wasn't able to work, you know, and then I was able to I was in a position to actually be able to leave my job. And I left Bermuda and traveled home, where my support system was broader. I went back home to my mom's house, and, you know, I was able to just focus my full attention on my healing and on myself. I was able to manage my food. I had the resources that I need to purchase what I wanted to use, and I had, you know, so it wasn't easy. It was very difficult. I made a lot of difficult choices, and I found my path, and I walked it very strictly. People, please don't dance around cancer. Don't play with it. It's not playing with you. It's, you know, cancer is a very aggressive, it is a serious condition, and it requires a serious approach. If you want to be naturopathic, you've got to be prepared to make some very serious and immediate changes in your life. You're going to be giving up a lot of your dietary foods. You're going to be changing your lifestyle. You need to rest and relax and focus on what you can do. And truly, the same thing is true if you have a conventional approach. If you're going to need surgery, if you're going to need chemotherapy, if you've chosen to use radiation and those therapies, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could step back from your life and just be able to focus on those things? But one of the saddest things I've had to observe is people having to undergo these procedures and still go off to work every day. It's just a sign of the times, I suppose.
Indeed. Yeah. You're touching, I mean, we could, no, seriously, because
seriously,
we talk about support, but it goes back to, you know, I was having this conversation last night with a friend of mine, our first convo in probably the last 10 months. And, you know, we spoke about, going to work every day. And I asked a question of my colleague who sits next to me yesterday and him last night. And I just said, you know I ask some questions that people may just think of them as random, but do you ever ask yourself, who normalized working 5 days a week and 8 hours a day? And
it's the saddest thing.
Have you ever asked yourself, what's healthy about spending more time making someone rich than spending time with your family? I said,
it's ridiculous.
We have to consider these, and then ask yourself this one last question. Have you ever asked yourself why your health insurance is tied to your job, and you have to basically have a certain level of health that you need to remain employed? Like, there are certain questions we don't ask ourselves that
I know
that contribute.
I'm serious.
You know, you asking for it. Here we go.
I just said it. Drop the bomb.
Here we go.
That's so true. I never even looked at it like that. That's powerful, Jamel.
It really is. You know, we could go on and on all day about societal control methods. Don't get me started. But yeah, like the things that have been normalized in our life are so destructive to our living. And we don't even have the time to think about it. I heard a very sad testimony, and it's a little off topic, but it flows with what you're saying. And I was listening to a woman who lived in a communist country. I'm not going to name it because I don't want to. I don't want to do that. But she lived in a communist country that was a very controlled society, and she escaped. You know, obviously because she was now making her testimony. But boy, the story of her escape was just so heart-wrenching and grueling. But one thing that she said that I'll never forget, she said we were always kept hungry. She said there was never enough food to eat. We never had enough food. And she said this was and she said it's not that the country couldn't grow or provide food. She said this was a means of controlling us, because when you're hungry, that's all you can think about. You can't think about politics and fighting and being free and standing up for your rights. All that you can think about is putting some food in your stomach. So likewise, you know, we have married ourselves to a system wherein all that we can sort of think about is paying those bills and surviving the next day, keeping that roof over our head. You know, all the the language that we use to justify our sacrifice of our days of our lives into a system like that. So
it's insane to me. But just want to shift gears real quickly. According to the word is that, and you've mentioned it a number of times about going to naturopathic school, but you enrolled at age 50, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Don't y'all start counting numbers.
No, I only do that with Carla.
I'm right behind you, Dr. Flood. So
I only do that with Carla. But
no judgment from me.
No judgment.
Speak to us about that. I mean, obviously your condition probably drove you, but speak to us about how driven you were to go back to school. That's how serious you were about this and your health.
Yeah, you know, it was actually years later that I did enroll in naturopathic medicine school. So my journey was a slow, steady trek towards where I am today. So I was sick. I got better. I recovered, and then I began to be more serious in my focus on naturopathic, remedies and treatments and lifestyle. But I was in a career that I enjoyed. I was in the legal field, and I was, working on a great job. So I really wasn't thinking about changing my careers, but I was just thinking about ways that I could help people. And then along came Amir X, who published a magazine in Bermuda a while back. What was the name of the magazine? Forgive me.
Uptowner.
Yes, indeed. And I began writing for him because that's another one of my loves is journalism. So I began writing articles for the magazine, some of which are still available today. And one day Amir said to me, "So, what are you? Like, what do we put under your name?" And I said, "I'm just a person." Like there were no alphabets behind my name that matched what I was talking about. So I said, wow, maybe I should take a little course or do a little thing. I did not know that there was a thing called a naturopathic medicine degree and naturopathic medical schools. So when I began to explore what I could do to enhance my actual qualification, that's when I discovered naturopathic medicine. So the degree. So it is a 4-year postgraduate degree. So you must have your first degree. And it can truly be in anything, but it's very helpful if it is in the medical sciences, or at least in science or chemistry. And then you go on and you enter a 4-year course. There are 5 institutions in the Western Hemisphere that confer the degree of Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine. It's grueling. You know, it was at first exhilarating. I was so excited. You know, I had my doubts. I was like, I'll never, they'll never admit me, you know, I'll never find the money. I'll never find the time, but, gosh, I was shortchanging my own self. You know how we do that. And everything fell into place. It was God's destiny for me. And I found myself at the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine in Tempe, Arizona, out in the middle of the desert. And it was tough. I was an older student, but I actually was not the oldest student. There were students there that were older than me. Although I will admit that, you know, many of them were not successful. I credit a lot of my success to falling into the hands of the young crowd of students. I made friends with all the kids, and they helped me through, because I had forgotten how to study. I had earned my first degree years and years prior, and things had changed. Everything was electronic and on computers and all of this. And so it was grueling. It was tough. At times I wondered, what have I done with my life? Why am I here? I'll never make it out the other end of this machine. It's trying to grind me up and spit me out. But I made it on track, on course, and graduated on time. And yeah, it was fantastic. I would encourage anybody, don't let your age stop you or even slow you down. Just go out there and pursue your dreams. I have now been out here practicing for almost 7 years. I can't believe it. I love it. Have no regrets.
Nice.
Do it. Yeah,
Now,
do it.
Dr. Flood, why do you believe more people are leaning towards natural medicine?
Well, you know, because conventional medicine has failed us in many ways, I'm sorry to say. We're not really getting, our diseases are not going anywhere. And so now, here we go. A lot of medical professionals are slow to acknowledge the natural approach to health and naturopathic medicine. And they blame us. We get a lot of bad press for not being scientific and for not being, you know, the conventional way. But the truth is, the health of the population has kind of deteriorated under the watchful eye of conventional medicine throughout the years. All that we are doing is creating more and more pharmaceutical drugs to remedy the problems that we face in our health. And so that is not the way that we want to be going. And people are seeing that they're not getting better. They're just getting more and more prescriptions. People are feeling the side effects of those prescriptions. People are deciding for themselves that there must be another way. And then they come to me and persons like myself, and we show them a path to health improvement. Health is an industry. Whenever you have an industry, it needs to continue to let itself survive. We like to think that we work our way out of our patients, that we teach you how to care for yourself, how to live a healthy lifestyle. And after you've worked with me for a while, I'm not surprised if I don't see you again.
That's an awesome analogy. Now, we've had a number of health professionals who have consistently said the same thing. Our health challenges can be solved by a healthy diet and exercise. Yet, as a community, we still don't necessarily fully adhere. For those who'd like to adopt a healthier lifestyle, what are some tips that could get us there?
Okay, so the first thing is a change of mindset. Becoming aware that we are all influenced by our surroundings, and the advertising industry, the food industry, the fun industry, right? The alcohol industry, consumables that change our mental outlook. I'm not going to name any names, but the first thing is to have a paradigm shift. And when we shift, when a person shifts their paradigm, they're ready, they're open to hear and to change, because it does mean giving up what you have believed were the pleasures of life. Now, we're all attracted to taste. We're led around by our taste buds and by our eyes and our nose, right? What smells good, what appeals to what seems to look good. So we have to learn that a big, wonderful, colorful salad looks delicious, and that takes a mind shift over a big plate of macaroni and cheese, peas and rice, and chicken swimming in barbecue sauce. So that's where I begin with people, is through the learning, through the educational component. And from there, we go to having more fruits and vegetables in your life, reducing the amount of red meat that we eat, choosing the highest quality meats that are available when you do choose meat, right? So minimize it, increase the quality of meat. I won't say don't eat meat. I say minimize meat and choose meat more carefully. Some meats we just should not eat, in my opinion, and these are products such as sausages and hot dogs and salami, pepperoni, and bologna. These are waste products for the most part. Now we have better choices, better selections, because we are having the option to buy meats that have been properly farmed and properly prepared without the use of a lot of preservatives. So let's decrease that. But what about increasing? Lots of people give up eating meat, but they just continue eating a lot of carbohydrates and starches. That is not the way to go either. We must increase our consumption of vegetables. Colorful vegetables. Here at North Shore Medical, we emphasize the phytonutrient diet. The actual colors of foods, the pigments, are nutrients. So the reds, the purples, the greens, the yellows, the oranges, they contain components that interact with our human cells and make us healthier. We emphasize functional medicine diets. These reduce gluten in our diet. They reduce carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates. These are our white products: white bread, white rice, white pasta, and to some extent the white potato. And instead, we should be having our whole grain products, the brown breads and the brown rice, whole grain rice. And there are products that are made now, made from a better carbohydrates, higher grade whole food carbohydrates. So we want a nutrient dense whole foods diet. Let everything, not everything, because we're all going to have a treat. Let 80% of the things that you put in your mouth be real food, just as it was created by our creator. You can cook it and warm it, but you shouldn't be changing it. Removing the outer husk, you know, for example, is what makes a whole grain brown rice a white rice. Well, that outer husk contains fiber. There are nutrients that are located just beneath the hull of the food, of the grain of rice. And we've thrown all that away to animal feed, and then we eat just the starchy part that's left. They dust a few little powders of and call it enriched. No, it was rich before we messed with it. So eat our whole grain food, our whole foods, just as they're produced in nature. Increase your consumption of colorful fruits and vegetables. Eat some food raw. When you cook food above a certain temperature, you destroy a very important component of natural food called enzymes. Those enzymes assist with digestion and the nutritional absorption of our food. We have to have a healthy gut. Gut diseases are one of the biggest problems that people face: tummy ache, constipation, diarrhea, etc. And we can work with all of those. Come on down. Let's have a one-on-one. I really would like to invite people to come on down to North Shore Medical. Shameless plug. We have a full service medical facility. Shout out to all my colleagues. And we have doctors who do men's health. We have weight loss. We have chronic disease management. We have aging care. We have beauty. We have aesthetics. We have pain management. Dr. Kaiwan Brown is down here doing it. He gave me the time to be with you this morning, so let me not forget him.
Something for everyone.
Something for everyone.
We have to run, but we definitely would love to have you back on sometime, because there's so many other things that we'd love to discuss, and you just mentioned a lot of them, right?
Okay.
So we definitely want to have you back on, and there are questions that people are going to likely send after the show, so we'll definitely be in touch. But Dr. Flood, I don't want to overdo it and ask you to come too soon. I know it's early, and I know you have clients, but please know that we would love to have you back, and we are grateful that you have done this for us, and the information has just been consistent with the messaging from so many people who have been on the show before, but also everyone adds something new. So thank you for the information, and
you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's really been fun. I avoided you for a little while, but I'm glad you got me in.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you is him, not me, right? Him. no, we're team. We're team. I take one for the team.
No, you guys are doing a great service. It's a great show. I love the technology. Congratulations and thanks. I'd love to see you again.
Thank you. Have a great
day.
Have a good day, everyone.
All right.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. Thanks again to Dr. Flood. We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. All right.
Hi, Bermuda. Now that we have covered the difference between internet and Wi-Fi and introduced you to our One Home Wi-Fi solution, we want to show you some of the amazing features it has to offer besides ensuring Wi-Fi coverage in and around your home. Our Eero devices are plug and play, making them super easy to install. They come with features to help you monitor the internet connections and speed tests from the palm of your hand, and health checks to let you know the status of your internet connection. Now, for the parents out there, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. With the Eero app, you can create profiles for each of your kids and pause their internet access no matter where you are. Kids not doing their homework? Or is it family dinner time? No problem. Just press pause. You can also say goodbye to that sticky note with a Wi-Fi password. Grant access to Wi-Fi for guests and visitors, or remove extra devices from your Wi-Fi connection. Check us out at One Today to sign up and gain full control of your internet experience.
Do you want to introduce a new idea that would improve the health of your loved ones and friends? Has innovation been your focus to navigate this period of uncertainty? If so, the Bermuda Health Council has a solution for you. The Innovation Program. Apply for up to $200,000 to support new innovation projects or services. Initiatives must be implemented in Bermuda. Visit bhec.bm/innovation-fund to get started today.
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Carla Zul. I'm Jamal Hartman. It is the Daily Hour. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House, Lindo's, friends over at Channel 82. And thanks to Dr. Amani Flood for coming on and sharing such valuable information. It is the Daily Playtime. Easiest question Carla's going to get. Help her out, folks. It's this easy. What was the first capital of Bermuda?
I don't know. St. George's. That's insulted, but that is so insulted.
I'm not trying to insult you. I'm literally trying to make sure that everyone knows, because I was tested about the United States. What was the first capital of the United States? And I didn't know the answer. And I was like,
what is it? DC? No.
So that's the coin. The first capital of the US apparently was New York.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So you know, I learned things, and I hope that Carla knows the obvious. Any daily inspiration for us, Carla?
Yes.
I was insulted, folks. I'm sorry.
How rude. To live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. And that's anonymous.
Absolutely. Shucks. I had no problem being wrong. Look, what are your thoughts on Dr. Flood today?
What I enjoyed the absolute most is that it just flowed. She was so engaging that I was absorbing everything, because she made it as talking to one of her friends about vegetables and living healthy. So I loved it. And I am seriously making some lifestyle changes even more. So
yeah, I'm grateful. I mean, just to be honest with you folks, Dr. Flood, we were supposed to have her on last summer, and we're grateful that she finally has joined the conversation and shared so much valuable information. What I do enjoy, whether it's Courtney Miners or Tamara Richardson or others who have come on and shared valuable information like Dr. Flood, the message is consistent. You know, we talked about today marks 1 year since Bermuda announced its first 2 COVID cases. And, you know, we've created a space where we can help change the narrative in our lives as individuals and live better. The rainbow, the colors of our food, you know, eliminate and add. So if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to smash a like for us. Give us a like, a love. If you enjoyed one of Carla's jokes, I know. Just give us a laugh, but make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. You don't want to miss anything. And tomorrow, it looks like Dr. Curtis Tweed might be the first person to come 5 times, right? I think it's her 5th time coming tomorrow, but Dr. Curtis Tweed, and we're talking about another important topic, which we've discussed before, and that is literacy. So thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's for ensuring that we're able to do this with you. As always, we appreciate all of you. We love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back again tomorrow. She's Carla Zul. I'm Jamal Hartman. Make it a great day.